Welcome back to the Booga Box live stream. It is Large Project Thursday. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. Excuse me. Don't forget to like, share, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Try to get that in the beginning here. So if you're watching this later, you can still give all those good things then too. So don't forget to give those. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. We're going to get right on into this. I got a little bit done today. I think about 2.5 lines, maybe 3. Not very much because we just started there. So I was hoping to get more done today on it, but everything kind of got protracted today. Get back over there. So yeah, it was about 10:30 after I got done doing the Buzzy's shot and everything at 10 o'clock. Decided I was going to make a quick run out just down to the street here. I was like, okay, I'll be gone a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe at the most. And I started driving away and got about halfway to the store, and I was like, you know what? I wanted to go out Tuesday. It does mean a couple more stops. And since I didn't get out Tuesday, why don't I just go ahead and do it while I'm out now? Even though I'd planned on just being gone a little bit, so ended up running around, and I went to the 4 different places, got everything I needed. Ended up being a 2-hour ordeal, maybe a little bit more, I guess, by the time I actually got, unloaded and everything like that, but, And so there were some things I didn't get done again today, but other things that I had to put off, I ended up getting done. So after that, I've got some lumber and stuff I've been having for a while that I've been wanting to cut up, and the big chunks, the big stuff is getting it cut up, and then I can do a lot more of the other stuff, work inside some, not all of it, but a good chunk of it I can still work on inside when it's raining and all that. So I ended up setting up everything today and get out there and cut up some lumber I got 2 little projects I was wanting to do, and then I actually had bought some different wood today to try and test with the laser today. So went ahead and cut it up too, so I've got it ready to go. Do some testing hopefully tomorrow-ish at some point. We'll see. But yeah, it was a little bit of a job, but now I've got the wood cut up, so now I can kind of start working on a little bit here and there. Nothing I'm in a hurry to do per se, but now that it's cut, I can have it there and use it when I need it. And then setting up sanders and stuff outside is a lot easier than having to set up all the saws to do cutting and everything. So tail saw, bandsaw, jigsaw, rip saw, whatever you want to call. All the saws. Got quite a few of them, but I just don't use a whole lot of them right now because it's just more difficult to get them in and out. And right now the son can't help me move stuff around, so that doesn't help matters either. So, but still haven't heard back anything on his thing yet. But they haven't called to cancel his removing of his port thing, so I take that as a good sign. I figured they would cancel that if it came back and they need to do more stuff. So we're going to still wait. Hopefully we'll know. I was hoping we'd find out by now of this week, but doubt we'll find out tomorrow, but it could be. Who knows? We'll see. Oh yeah, let's get some music going on in the background here again before I forget. So again, hopefully I'll see anybody's comments again today. I've switched up a little bit. I tried to do a little bit of reading and see why I'm not getting it. It seems like random people have random issues, so I'm not sure what the deal is. But I'm making sure every time here now I'm switching over to just me as my personal account while I'm watching, like I'm watching it as you guys. So, and then on my other computer is where I got all the streaming going through. So we'll see if maybe that'll help fix me not seeing posts. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, everything kind of got pushed off today, and I was hoping to maybe get about an hour in on the trimming down some trees along the fence line, but then with going longer out, that didn't happen, and cutting up the wood. Well, and I kind of I got me in about, I don't know, probably about 20-30 minutes early this morning before 10, and then I had to stop because of the cats and all that, and then I decided to do all the other stuff. I was doing okay. I got a little bit of time in after that, and it's taking a little bit longer. You can see my taped up finger there. After I got done cutting up the wood, which you would think, okay, I was out there cutting up wood, splinter, or, you know, just cut yourself on the wood. No. I'm unpacking the bags of the other stuff I bought. I had this, I bought a ratchet socket set. Just the sockets on a little plastic bar thing to keep them all in place, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm sitting there cutting that up so I can get them out of there. And it's not like the outside plastic hardened when it chills you have to cut off. This had just little plastic things running up in between each socket to hold them in place. Sockets were kind of open aired there, so. And I just started into it and trimmed off the first socket one and popped that socket off and put it over to the side, and I'm sitting there and I look at the second socket and I'm like, well, it doesn't have a bar that's going all the way through it. Oh, okay, it's every other socket. So I kind of look down and see the next socket, but it's on the other side where I need to trim off that. They had a weird way of mounting these things in there. So I had to flip it around. I flip it around, the third socket, fourth socket down over there. I was like, well, crap, there's paint on it. I've looked at these before I bought it. Why is there paint on it? How the hell did I get paint on it, you know? And this all, you know, I just pick it up and I'm kind of holding this whole little bar of things here and there's a little paint there. I'm like, how is there paint here, you know? And I had my little clippers in my hand and I was looking at it and I was like, so then I took my thumb and rubbed it and it was like, it was wet and it was like wet paint. So I looked down at the table I was working on and there's about a 3-4 inch round circle of red paint. I was guessing it was red paint. And I'm like, what in the world? And while I'm sitting there, the next thing I know, I see a drop hit the puddle. And I look at my hand, and my whole hand is just covered in blood. I'm like, what in the world's going on here? Because I didn't feel a damn thing. I'm sitting there, and next thing I start moving around, and the blood's just dripping, pooling up, pouring out of my hand all over the table. And so I'm not sure exactly where I cut myself at first because everything was just covered. I mean, the clippers I had in my hand were covered, and so I'm trying to wipe off stuff because I still don't feel anything. I'm sitting here touching everything. I finally, you know, I'm wiping everything off. Comes up to right up here at the tip of the finger, kind of like right in here. I got about 1/8 of an inch of a cut, and just bled like crazy. Wasn't nothing major, and like I said, I didn't feel it. Even once I found where I was leaking from, I found my wound. I still, you know, I wiped everything off, and then it just started spewing blood again. So I grabbed a paper towel and applied some pressure to it so I could get to the bathroom and clean it up and everything. And still didn't feel it, no problem, you know. Then I cleaned it up. It wasn't until after I finally started getting the Band-Aid on and started putting the tape on it a little tight, just to give me some pressure on it, is when I finally started feeling it. But yeah, and so that was actually, by everything's start to finish, was about an hour ordeal. You know, by the time I just cut myself, noticing it, finding it, cleaning myself up, and then, you know, by the time I got that done and got back down, the pool had started to solidify. So then I had to clean that up. And then I kept finding, I'd probably done it for a little bit because I found some droplets going. It's my wooden workbench I have over there. And it was more right here, but I was kind of moving up and down this area right here. So when I started looking, I found all kinds of little drops of blood all the way up and down the workbench there as I was moving and doing stuff right there. And that was a little crazy. I mean, I've bled before and I've cut my fingers and stuff before, but that seemed like an awful lot of blood. At least I haven't done that in a while where I've had that much blood. Normally I catch it, I guess, probably catch it myself cutting myself and noticing the blood sooner. So there's normally not as much blood. Because if it happened when I cut that first one and I went to pull off the socket, that's the only time I think I would have ended up somehow catching this piece. if that's what did it. Because when I clipped it off the top of this piece, I moved it out of the way to grab the socket and come off. And so when I went down and went to that second one, I was messing with it. And I think it would have been then. And so I was able, before, I was cutting the next one before I realized it. And I probably did it actually on the first cut. When I went to first fling it off, because when I went to push it off, the little bar, the little plastic thing that I cut stuck in there and it snapped back. So it might have been on the snapback, possible. I don't know. All I know is there was a lot of blood. More than I had seen in a while. Last time I'd actually seen more was, crap. How long ago was that? Probably about 9 months ago, maybe, or so. The wife was shaving, and she nicked herself, I guess, and ended up hollering at the kids. Kids hollered at me, and I had to run in there and see what's going on. And, oh man, I was a little worried about that one, because that was gnarly. I was like, you don't know how hard it was to stay in there, because I don't like blood. I don't do good at any kind of shows where they're cutting things of people. I'm not good at that. And so, she'd pull off the pressure, and it was almost, it wasn't squirting, but it was almost to a squirting stage, and it was just, oh man. That was probably the worst thing I'd ever seen when it comes to that kind of thing. And yes, I know I've had 3 kids, but I hate to say that I didn't go in there, but I didn't go in there. I know, so do I regret it in a way? Yes, but no. I just don't do good in those situations, so I don't think I would have done well to begin with. My wife kind of knows that too. She, even just normal TV shows where, I don't know, she was watching, was it Bones? I don't know, she was watching a whole series of things. I think one of them was Bones, and a couple other shows similar to that. They're always doing the autopsies and stuff, and I can't watch those. Those just make me so queasy, and I'm like, I can't do it. And so, yeah, I was like, you don't know how close I was to just losing it in there when that happened. And because I was ready to call the freaking ambulance, because I was like, I don't know what to do, because we've applied pressure, but as soon as we release it, even after a little bit, it would just start spewing again. Man, it was insane. And it's kind of what I felt like a little bit today, but hers was a lot worse. It was a longer gash for sure, but stopping it took a little bit. Because I was ready to let's go. She's like, no, let's wait, let's go. So we ended up bandaging her up, taping it up real good and tight, and then changed it out a little bit later, and then it seemed to be okay, but still. And then when she was done, there was really not even a scar or anything there now, would have never known, but it was just perfect place, I guess, at the perfect angles, and sometimes you can get those weird things happen. I used to watch a lot of wrestling back in the day, and I remember watching Ric Flair up there. He was just on stage, talking, yelling, doing his normal woo, woo type things, and he just started bleeding from the forehead for no reason, just out of nowhere. Now, that's probably because of all the times he's cut himself, but so yeah, that was the other interesting part of today. So then afterwards, I tried to get back to do some mailing. I think I actually only got 11 minutes of video, and I shut the video down because it wasn't hurting per se, because I'm not having a lot of pressure on it. Most of my pressure's in here on the plier, not on the tip up here, but I do use the tip. It slides across the tabletop a lot while I'm grabbing rings. And so I was starting to irritate it, and still I was, within the hour of it happening still, or after being bandaged up anyway. And so I stopped for a while. It started feeling a little bit better, I think probably around 4:30-ish. And I got back over here, and I got about 20-30 minutes in, and I was like, well, it feels a little bit better, because I was worried if I was going to do the stream tonight. Because I was like, well, if I can't mail, what's the point of having the stream go? And so I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and give it a break until stream time, and I'm sure we can make it an hour and not give me too many problems. Probably after the stream, I'll take it all out again, clean it up once again, look at it a little closer. When I cleaned it up, then it was like, I just need to hurry and get done so I can get back to work. Got things to do. Too many things to do today, because today was a nice day. I think we hit like 75. It was nice out, sunny. Didn't mow, but everything was still a little wet. So mowing I was already planned for tomorrow, but got out there, get that wood cut up, so that's good. Tomorrow I'll get out there and mow fairly early, probably about 10:30ish, probably right after I get done doing Buzz food and shop. Oh, excuse me. For him, I'll get out there and mow, and hopefully I can spend a little extra time, and like I said, get some of these, I want to get a few places at least cut down, and I got one area that I really need to get the leaves up from, because it's the last place around the house that needs the leaves picked up, and then I can get out there and get the normal yearly bug spraying done around the house for ants and bugs and all that good stuff. It's something I normally do once a year. I'd like to do it earlier than this, but this seems to be about the time that it ends up getting done because of all the other stuff that I do with the band stuff. June is normally my month where I'm trying to get the yard caught up and finally get all the spraying done and all that. So, but tomorrow, like I said, I got a little bit of doing that, and then I'll get some laser work done early afternoon probably, and then I'm hoping to get some more time into this then after tomorrow afternoon. It's a little warmer, so I hope I get everything done in the morning outside, and then can sit in here and do this for the remainder. Though, like I said, I will be doing some laser work. I got 2 things I need to do to get out, and then I had a plan on a test for somebody. We don't know if it's going to work yet, so told them let me do some testing on it, so I don't want to do that one so I can get pictures sent off. And then everything else was just me doing more testing with this new wood I got, because I need to find something I can use for the bigger platform that I now have. So I need to do my testing max sizes, still make up my barriers, not really a jig, but it's kind of my outline is like, this is my max, everything, if I put anything in, I don't want to go any further past this, so it'll just kind of hit those and lock into place. So still need to make those. Everything else right now has been small stuff that I can just do in the middle of the bed, but I'm wanting to start to see, I want to get a pattern made for my max size, so I can have a max size template that I can work with on the computer. And it says a max size, but they're never exactly accurate per se. Yes, okay, it might move this far, but if it's like smaller lasers, yeah, it's max movement, but that doesn't mean that's the max laser movement. I mean, the head might move it again that far, but there's just little tweaks when it comes to that, how far because it'll actually move further, but it won't. It's one of the weird things about the smaller ones. And the bigger ones, I'm still learning, so I don't know if they've got the same kind of odd parameters that the smaller, cheaper ones have. So again, that's why I got all this testing I need to do, so I can get all my parameters put into everything. So plus I'm using new software, so that changes everything. I've already learned that pretty quickly when I first did a few tests last week doing a crow and a crow engraving that needed to be done. He was like, well, it's a good time to test it. Got this order, so I ended up testing quite a bit of different material at the time, at the same time, and it worked out well though, so hopefully, again, that won't be too bad. I might do some on Saturday too, but I am actually hoping to do at least one stream on Saturday. There might be a couple if I do an early stream, because it's supposed to be raining, so I'm not going to be able to get outside and get any work done. So I thought, well, if it's like that, maybe I'll just do a stream kind of early in the morning, or early, for me after the BuzzFeed When I say morning, it's normally 10 o'clock. I get up around 8 to 9-ish, depending on the day. But it's not till after I do buzz feeding and shot is when I'm kind of like, okay, now you may communicate with me and I will be human. Before that, you just don't know what you're going to get some days. I don't need my coffee, I just need time. So, but then again, maybe Saturday night. I know at some point Saturday, I have a 90% chance of having a stream. I'm getting older where that comment can mean multiple things. But again, like I said, I hope that is the plan. As of late, a lot of plans never gone through all the way, but like I said, I'm ready to push this thing through and get it done. We are online. Let me look over. Oh, actually, we just came down off that one, so I need to mark it off. We are now working on line 174, so we got 28 lines to go. So, yeah, we're maybe down to about 10-ish hours or so, right in there, depending. Right now, things are a little going slow. Like I said, it's not a finger I use for plier-wise, but I am being a little more careful with it and gentler. So things are a little bit slower on building right this minute. I'm hoping, well, we're going to see how it looks later when I clean it up tonight, but normally on something like that, it's normally a day or two, and I can take the Band-Aid off and get back to normal usage under normal circumstances. If things work out well. Where are we at here? I haven't even looked at my stuff tonight. I'm slacking. Let's see. All that's looking good. All that's looking good. Don't see any comments anywhere, so I think we're doing okay. Like I said, sometimes if you just drop in here, just drop in the thing. If you notice something's a little off, let me know. I had a whole stream one night. I know I had a couple people drop in, but it wasn't until later in the stream somebody was like, "Yeah, your audio's off." And that was one night where I tried plugging in and unplugging and replugging in the microphone, and then I actually, before it was muffled, they said, but it was, you could hear it kind of, but then after that there was actually no signal or nothing from the microphone. So I wrote everything out on a piece of paper and was showing it to the camera. That's how we ended that stream night. Oh, you stupid drawer. I need to make my little wedges for this desk. Like I said, it's just a little bit off level, leaning towards me, so these drawers like to pop open on themselves by themselves on occasion. And it's just a slow open. Once they pop to a point, they just... I'm opening, I'm going to hit you in the belly, but you're going to have to wait. Okay, pop. That could have been semi-disastrous. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to get some more greens out here pretty soon and get them cleaned up. I know I've got several bags left, so I know I've got a while of them to go. When I was looking at what was left in the box that I have for the supplies for this project, I was like, oh, I guess I do got quite a few bags still to go here. Had no more reds. I did finally look all the way through, so the reds were extremely close. Now, I think the greens and the whites should not be nearly as close. I think I got at least a bag or two extra of each of them just to play it safe. Red, I don't know why I would have been cutting it so close, but I will say I probably had, now, I think I had 6-7 bags of red. I can actually look here. I had to get, actually I got 10 bags of red is what I got, what I ordered. And I needed, I guess I was, ooh, boy, yeah, I did cut that one actually kind of close. I needed 2,911 rings. 10 bags would have gave me 3,000. So I only gave myself around 89 rings to play with if the average worked. And I was just getting ready to say, I probably had a good 80 rings that were bad out of all those 10 bags. So about 10 rings a bag were bad on average that were spotted. So yeah, that one I cut close. The others I don't think I was nearly as close as. That's still a lot of red rings though, 3,000 red rings, which we're at just under 3,000 rings needed to finish. Since we got 28, this drawer, pop. Drawer just kind of slowly opens again. It does it a lot. It will do it on its own. Sometimes I'll come down here in the mornings and see it popped open. Now, granted, on occasion, Buzz does like to get under these. Is where I keep my my cardboard boxes. I've showed it a few times how I keep my storage. If anybody ever wants to see it, just drop me a line sometime when we're here, and I'll pull it out again and show. But you know, there's room on top of those. There's about I don't know, probably a 5 to 6 inch gap between that and the bottom of these drawers. And he likes to climb up on top of those sometimes, just kind of sprawl out. He can't stand up or anything there, but he just kind of likes to wiggle his way up in there and just sprawl out across the top of those boxes. And he'll pop the drawer open on occasion, because if he does, that'll give him an extra, 2.5, 3 inches with the drawer out of the way when he's under there. That's how I know when a cat's in the dresser drawers, is when the bottom drawer is pushed open. Bottom drawer, especially in my dresser, I only get into on occasion. That's the dress slacks and whatnot, so I don't get in there very seldom. And honestly, I think last time I was probably down in that drawer was probably a couple of years ago. Probably should look in there at some point. But if it's ever pushed open, I know a cat had wiggled their way in one of the other drawers and worked their way down and pushed it open so they could lay down on the carpet underneath inside the dresser. Doesn't happen as often now. We've learned how they kind of did that, and they've gotten older. They were much more prone to that when they were younger, and it was actually the first one that started that was my oldest daughter's cat, E.T. She could open any dresser drawer. It didn't matter if you made sure it was closed. She knew how to open it. Now, if you left her any kind of an nth of a degree of an opening in any way, shape, or form, she would take advantage of it. If she had to really work at it through the years, she started slowing down more and more. But even when she was old, 18 years old, she would still, if you left a little sock peeking and the drawer didn't quite get, that sock was her opening. She'd pull that, pop the drawer open, climb in, and like most cats, she'll pull out, normally the other clue is the pile of socks laying on the floor in front of the dresser. Somehow, once they got in, that they were able to close the dresser, the drawer they went in, but you could tell that's where they went in because of the pile of socks, especially the wife's dresser. Mine, again, not so much. They don't get into mine as much. I make sure mine's a little more closed, even though mine's actually easier to open if they learned how to than the wife's. But I also don't have a big giant pile of socks in there. I've got my normal 4 or 5 pair of socks, so there's not a whole pile of stuff to get through, other than there's a lot of stuff and it's full, so there's really not a lot of room, but it's all packed nice and folded up in there, so nothing easy to get through like the wife's, where they can just grab those socks and yeah, when you see that hasn't happened in a while, really. I guess it was because E.T. taught that to Marvel. Used to kind of do it, but she hadn't done it since she came downstairs and kind of was an outdoor-indoor cat for a while, and now that she's back in there, she hasn't even really attempted to do it. Now, if I go in there over the drawer, she wants to jump in it and get loving one in my drawers, but she doesn't really pop them open. But E.T. taught her how to do it, and she taught Sugar Baby how to do it, or Sugar passed. Now, Shug, in the last couple of years, she really didn't do it because she was getting older and she was having bad arthritis in her legs, so she kind of gave up on doing that. But we used to Teaser taught all of them how to get into the drawers, and they all love getting in them. Luckily, the two youngest, I say the youngest again, like my kids, the two youngest cats in the house are 9 years old. You know, they never really cared to do that. Cutes, the boy's cat. She just kind of lays wherever she sleeps, and she'll find a spot, she'll use it for a week, and then move on to another spot. And it doesn't matter where it's at. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that, sometimes it's a step. She's a weirdo. She used to be, when she was a kitten, she was a lovable lap kitty. When she was, crap, I want to say she was only probably, maybe 9-10 months old. She wasn't quite a year, I think. And we found her one day sitting on the carpet at the baseboard, just sitting there. We talked to her. She didn't really want to move, so we took her to the vet. I had all kinds of tests done. She had some type of autoimmune disease, which is insane in itself. And so she had to have immediate blood transfusion. Luckily, I guess one of the vet's secretary's cats was compatible. I'm not sure how all that worked, but they were able to get her in there and gave her blood transfusion. She was on meds for about a half a year, and then came back. But after that, she didn't want to be on the lap. She loves the loving. She will follow you around. Yeah, she wants to be petted. She just does not like sitting on anybody's lap anymore. She really doesn't like getting on the beds anymore, because that was her thing. She loved to kind of get on your lap and sleep on a bed. When she got sick, she just, but she somehow survived that. The vets didn't think, we spent a lot of money on our cats through the years, that's for sure. But yeah, the blood work and everything on her, when they were doing her, they were like, everything came back as this, how did they put it? Some way of saying the sample was not from a living animal. There's not enough of this and none of that. So the sample seems contaminated because it's not compatible with life. And so I guess they did it again, same thing. But she was still kicking. They gave her the transfusion, and she's been fine ever since. She's been nice, healthy weight. Almost perfect cat in a way. Other than, won't come sit on your lap, which we want a cat to do, but she's a very lovable cat, likes to play. Named the Cuteness. If you know that reference, maybe I should do that. I will give away something to anybody that knows the reference of the Cuteness. Other than family members. If you're watching this, you know the story. I don't want to hear that. And then the daughters, the youngest one, was same litter as the Cuteness. And she was kind of the smallest. Well, kind of small, but she's got the texture and look of a squirrel. It is so weird. She's got like a squirrel coat to her. It's very, very fine, short. I've had a lot of cats through the years, and she has some of the weirdest hair I've seen on a cat. Now, I've seen other cats that are similar through the years too, that weren't mine, but very strange. Her legs have got the normal tiger stripe that most of Lola's cats and kittens had at the time, but the rest of her body it's squirrely. It's polka dotted and mixtured, and she's always been the scared one. She's still kind of a scaredy cat, but she's her mama's cat, boy. That is no doubt. She will follow her mama around and bug the crap out of her, which I find funny. It's like, you trained her that way. It's on you. Though she needs to get onto a diet. She has become a wide-bodied cat. I don't know what it has been the last 2 years. She's just been plumping and plumping, and we've normally, all of our cats have always been kind of free-range feeders. They just never overate. So we just kind of had food out all the time, and they would just come and go as they pleased when they needed to eat. None of them ever had a problem with overeating, getting fat, no problems, up until here with her and Buzz. Buzz definitely started overeating. When he came here, he was real thin and definitely needed to put on some weight. But he definitely he would start, at whatever food was there, he would just eat till it was gone. He's gotten better, and I have gotten better because with his diabetes now, I've had to make sure I regulate his foods, and he has special diet food, and all that. And he's lost some weight for sure, but the rest of the cats that we still have, Marble, she'll still free roam it, now if I overfed her soft food, now that would be a different story. But Cutes, she doesn't overeat, she eats enough, keeps healthy, no problem. Boomer was a little different though, because sometimes he would disappear for half a day, day and a half at the most sometimes. And so when he come back, sometimes he'd starve. But when there was food there, he would eat till he was full. Now, if there was still food there, he wouldn't overeat it. But if there was not enough that made him full, he would want more. But and Teaser was always good. She self-regulated for 18 years. She could put on a little weight when we got her fixed at like year 6. She got a little chunky-ish, but after about a year, she kind of mellowed out and put on her old grandpa face. She always had a big, deep meow. For all the girl cats we've always had kind of more of a higher pitch and prissier meow. E.T.'s had a low kind of resonance, and Shug. Hers wasn't necessarily low, but hers was just always angry, like, get out of my yard. I said that once or twice about her. She was the old man, like, get off my lawn. Alright, enough about kitty cats. I love all animals, just right now. It's just been cats for us. We've had dogs in the past too. I've had ferrets together. We've had gerbil or hamsters, and we've had fish and all that, dogs. Yeah, it's just once we moved here, it kind of seemed like cats kind of taking us over. So, and we had a few beforehand, but we also had dogs before too. So there was just too many dogs around here. I was like, I don't want to add too many dogs. So in a way, I kind of wish I did have one, but I love the animals. It's like I've named outside here the past several weeks, when I'm out there doing stuff or whatnot. We got one bird, one robin that's around here, and I call him Scruffles. He's all scruffy looking. It looks like he just woke up from an all-night bender after a bar fight. I'm thinking he might be molting, and so his feathers are just all kinds of messed up or whatnot. But I just call him Scruffles because he just looks like I said, just been in a bad bar fight after waking up from a bad bar fight and just trying to get along with life because his feathers are just such a mess. Flies around, no problem, but feathers are just a crazy mess. Been seeing him for about 2 weeks now, at least twice, 3 times a day sometimes. He likes to hang out up on our deck, the railing of our deck. I'll see him out there by just looking out the back door sometimes. He'll just be out there hanging out, kind of mending to his feathers if he's preening them or whatnot. I'm not sure again, like I said. But then there's another one. I'm not sure what bird species it is. It's robin-esque. It's like the coloring of a robin, how they're black and have the orange belly type thing. They're like that. They have 2 different colors in those spots. Now, again, I've never been a big bird watcher other than give me some eagles, owls, those I like, and I pay a little more attention. But so I don't know what they are, but they're a little bit smaller than the robins, and their back, instead of being kind of a blackish gray. It's more of a tan, but a dark tan. And so I nicknamed it Tanner. And it's the only, I've never seen this style bird before, around here anyway. I mean, I might have seen it, never noticed, but, and I told daughter, and she's like, hey, you know, it's only one, and I thought it was only one, but I actually have now seen two of them, and they're like I said, robin-esque. They're about the same size, that same kind of color. They're a little bit more slender, and their head's a little slenderer. Now, I can't get close enough to make out any definitions of any of them. I mean, they're birds, you get close to them, they take off. But they're kind of neat, and their chirp I've heard before, and honestly, I thought it was a dog that was like maybe two streets over, like a smaller yapping poodle or dog, because that's how their chirp was. It was almost like it sounded like he was up in a tree right next door here, so it was fairly close, but it sounded like a chirping dog a block and a street and a half over or something. It was just like kind of a high-pitched barking. I don't know if that can say anything about what it might be. We got all kinds of different ones that make all kinds of weird noises around here anymore. Got a couple owls around here. I just don't know where they live, but I can hear them all the time. But by the time I hear them, it's too dark to find them. I just hear them out in the back. Now I caught one morning last year on the peak of our house one morning, hanging out, and then he took off, flew through the back, and I couldn't get around back quick enough to see where he took off after that. But I hear him most nights fairly close. I've actually seen him on the neighbor's house a couple other times on the peak of their house. Not sure again what kind they are. Not even sure about the coloring, because again, by the time I see them, it's normally at that in the dark. You can't see it at all, or when I've seen them in the early morning, it's just barely breaking, so it's hard to everything's kind of dull colored at that point in time. So he's a fairly biggish one. The eagles have always been my favorite thing. We don't really get eagles around here, but whenever we went up South Dakota as a kid and went camping up there in Badlands and stuff. And, oh man, that was so cool up there. Eagles everywhere. I was in heaven. So that's one thing I like about going to our local Renaissance Festival. They have birds of prey normally every year there, and there's always an eagle. So, being honest with you, that is probably a good 85% of the reason why I want to go to the Rim Fest every year, so I can see my eagle up close. We can get about 4 feet-ish or so, 3-ish feet-ish to it. Gotten several pictures of it through the years, but every once in a while, they had this cutest little owl one year, man. He was just, barely like 5 inches, 6 inches tall. He was just the cutest little owl I'd ever seen. I guess he was a full-grown one. I can't remember again what he was. Never been into naming all these things, but he was the cutest little owl, man. So I always get a kick out of watching owls. And yeah, another odd one. Now this hadn't happened. This was years and years and years ago. A friend of mine down at his place, we'd sit outside during the summer, and there was a couple bats at night. And they'd always be flying around there, so we'd always flick things up in the air, and they'd just swoop in and grab it. And if it was something they didn't want, they'd just throw it down, And that for 2 summers, they would just hang out there, and we'd just hang out outside watching these bats just flying around. There's a lamp pole out here, and it was basically kind of the only light really around if you didn't let all the lights from the place light up everything. So they'd just swarm around there, all the bugs would, and these bats just chow down out there, and we just sit out there and watch these bats flying around. They were cool, boy. We had a fun time out there with them, watching them. Then he moved, so hadn't been around him since then. We actually have had a couple here, but one got injured and died. Another one I did catch flying around our back light one night, but that was one night, never did see him again. that was probably 3-4 years ago now. I don't know if it just happened to be a flyover and it's like, hey, good place to eat. I see buds and stopped, and I just happened to catch him. Who knows? Maybe there are other nights, but I have changed lighting sources since then too, and maybe that helps. You could change what gets attracted to it anymore. Who knows? I don't know. But I don't necessarily like bats, but I find them kind of interesting. I mean, when you really look into what, I mean, you hear bat, you're like, ew. When you look at them, they're kind of neat. They're actually kind of cutish in a way. It might sound a little weird, but they are kind of actually cute. Now, I don't want to mess with their poop and all that other good stuff, but or deal with, getting some virus from a friggin' bat, but bats are kind of cool. I always had a little fascination with them as a kid, but also as a kid, we did a lot of, we went into a lot of state parks and stuff as kids, to camping and all that, and that was all fun and stuff, but we also did a lot of caves during that time, so we got to see a lot of bats in all the caves that we'd be into, so. Oh, excuse me. I need to get something to drink here. Where are we at? 45 minutes. I forgot my half-hour time spiel. Give my hand a quick break. I do want to thank you all again for joining me. If you've dropped in live or if you're watching later, any point in time, I do appreciate you coming by and checking us out, see what's going on. Don't forget to give the like, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Alright. Now back to the program. So we're going to see where we're at here. We still got a little bit here, so we'll definitely be able to get into this next line a bit. And what I said is line 174. Yeah. See, I'm already thinking, do I need to double check my count again? Because did I forget to mark off a line? But I think I did. I think I marked it off. I'll do a final count here when I get a little further and double check that I'm at the right spot. And 99% of the time I always counter when I'm looking at things, and I'm always thinking, man, this doesn't seem right, but most of the time it is right. I spend so much time doubting myself, going and then by the time I'm done double checking, it was like I just wasted all that time, and it was right to begin with. And then that 1%, time that it does happen that I was wrong, it would have been an easy fix anyway that I would have found later, probably. Well, because the majority of the time I would have noticed it later, for sure, when I went further into the build. But happened with one of my lampshades. I got further into it, didn't notice that I had screwed up. Now that one, because of the way it was built, was kind of a pain, because it wasn't all rings. It was the punched rings that I used with it, so that made it a little more difficult to fix, but it was still fixable, so I mean, it all worked out at the end. Without too much, I mean, again, that was probably the worst redo fix I had to do on something that was kind of known and further along in the process. Sometimes when you're starting something new, you might have to redo it just because it's not working the way it needs to. This was working the way it needed to. I just had a misplaced ring, which threw off everything else, but it was such a long piece at the time because it had it laid out flat. It was on a 14-inch lampshade, so it was I think it was 30 some odd inches long when it was laid out flat before you put it around the circle. And so there was a bit to it, and didn't notice it till I was practically getting ready to hang it. And I was like, well, actually, I guess it was in my pre-hang stages. Before I was fully done, I was pre-hanging it. I was looking at it going, man, there's something right in here that is off. And so I ended up taking a long time and counting down every row at about a 10-row width, and finally figured out where that one little screw up was that was pulling everything off, that was making it unlevel later on. So that, like I said, that was probably the worst fix I've ever had to do, just because it was such a large project to begin with. Yeah, I'm definitely going to clean some more rings by tomorrow, probably. Might end up doing that tonight, so they got time to dry out overnight. Normally it takes them about an hour anyway. Sometimes I'll put a heater fan in front of them to kind of help, but it's actually the floor we talked about last night. I had flooding Tuesday night or Tuesday morning here. All the sogginess is now gone, luckily. The major wet spot now is probably only about a 5 foot by 5 foot area, so it's about half that size. And most of it is starting to dry on the outskirts here. That was more of the wicking effect. That, you know, it got wet, but it wasn't wet underneath. It just kind of got wet. That's starting to pretty much all be dried up now. So fans are doing their job. I did turn a couple of them off again for the string because it can get a little loud in here with all the fans I've got blowing on it all. But most of it's now dried up. Where I'm sitting for my stream is pretty much dry. I kind of sat down there. It feels slightly damp, but when I sat down full weight on my butt for probably 3 minutes, and when I got up I wasn't wet, but I felt damp, but it wasn't wet. So it's still got a little bit to go, but for the most part, luckily it's drying up. It's supposed to get rain again Saturday, and I think everything will be good by then. As long as we don't get the torrential rain, we should be good. I'm hoping it's not going to be an issue, or that's just going to be a major problem I really don't want to have here. But, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, again, like I said, though, it's just one of those freak rains that, you know, 99.9% of the time won't happen, and we won't have that issue. Because, like, that's the first time it's happened in the 17, 18 years we've been here. I've always been, it's kind of been my area all that time. Kind of been a computer area at one point in time, and then become a work area most of its time. And we've had a lot of rain, but nothing like I said. That rain was just the craziest rain that I've had in Kansas City. I've seen rain as much before in other places, but not in the Midwest here. That again, that length. We get those in a lot of storms where we'll get, you know, within. It's raining good, but then you get 2 or 3 minutes of just crazy rain, you know, and then it kind of lightens back up. This was just craziness for an hour and a half. I mean, that's what I think was so weird about it. Because, like I said, we see it a lot, but it's normally in a short little burst. You'll sit there for a whole hour and a half storm, and you'll have like 10, 15, you know, every 5-10 minutes you might have this quick little, just crazy rain for just a few minutes, and then it lightens back up. But yeah, this was like time slowed down for one of those quick downpours and just didn't stop and kept going and going. I almost want to go down the street here to this. There's just a little creek down here that runs through the neighborhood. A couple houses kind of around it and everything, but I often wonder what it would have looked like because I'm sure it had been, there was just so much rain. I'm sure that thing had to get pretty full, and I've never seen it full. Now, I know that at some point in time through the years it's had to have been. Now, granted, erosion will do it on its own. The creek is already kind of fairly deep. It's probably, you know, 5 foot from the rest of the area. When I grew up, a lot of the creeks that we messed in were maybe, you know, 2 foot away from surface level. This one, so I figured it's been there for a while, or, you know, they've had some times where it's been crazy rain. Now, what I really feel sorry for, they built a new house right next to this creek. And there's not, I don't know how they worked on whose property was what, if somebody sold part of their land. There was just hardly any room here, so they came in and built this weird-ass little skinny house on this piece of property, and the only way they could get it to fit was by building a huge brick wall right there along that creek, just on the property next to the house. So I'm like, okay, now the house looks good. Don't get me wrong; it's a newer house. It looks good. Not a whole lot of land to have to mow. I mean, that would be a mowing dream in a way. A push mower would do that for plenty. It's not huge. But I was just surprised they plugged it into this little area because the people that are living there now actually, I don't know if part of that creek just runs through the whole property, but right on the other side of the creek they built a little mini driveway right off the road, and they park a camper and a trailer there. And so I'm assuming it's part of that, but I just don't know, after especially a rain like we just had, I would not want to be living near that creek where they built this wall so quickly to build this house. That I just, it has me worried what's going to be like in some years. Every house is going to have its own issues no matter where it's at. But that was one thing, though. This has its own little issues here, and didn't know till after we got here and bought our house. But when we went out looking for our house, we made up these papers for every house we went to look at, talk with every room in it. If there's extra rooms, we had extra space on the paper to write it, yard, driveway, garages, whatever have you. And we kind of had a numbering system. So all the houses we look at, we would rate. And realtor thought it was odd, but she kind of thought it was kind of cool because we were able to discuss houses pretty quick afterwards, because everything, every house was a little different. Some had pluses, some had minuses to them, and all that. And so we kind of narrowed down some houses pretty quick with doing what we did. But I mean, our choices were kind of small at the time too. We weren't looking for something huge to begin with. Would it be nice to have a nice bigger house? Yeah, but in a way, I kind of like our small little house, Especially once all the kids have gone off onto their own, it'll be more than big enough for two. But, could we have gone more? They were willing to give us more, but it's like, I didn't want to get into that rut. This was before all the housing crashed and all that stuff, and it's like, they were willing to give us a much bigger house than what I felt that we could afford. And would it have been nice? Yeah, we went and looked at a few, and it's like, man, this would be really, really awesome. But if something goes crazy, man, I don't want to get it. I don't think this is going to be what would work for us. And so, all said and done, when the housing crash happened and all that, even where we were at, we struggled. We didn't necessarily need any help, but we did struggle for a few years because it did hit, kind of in a good way and a bad way. Other than if we would have had a bigger house, there would have been no way that we would have been able to do it. We would have definitely lost it for sure. So it was good that we didn't, and I'm glad again, would I like to have had it? Yes. A newer, bigger house, but I'm happy with my little older house. It's like me. It's got some rough spots, but I still work, so the house still works. So we're kind of symbiotic that way. We're kind of, I'm a little older than the house, but the house was 84, I believe. So the house is, 13 years younger than me. So we get along. I'm happy with it. Would I like to have some things changed? Yes, but, it is what it is. We do what we do. So how can I figure it out? Life is basically that. No matter what it is, you can make more money and still, you still got to live life, so doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you do what you got to do. Try to make the most fun you can have with it, Would I like to have more fun? Yeah, possibly, but I'm happy with what I've got, what I do, so I can't complain. I can dream, but I ain't gonna complain about it. So, where are we at on our time anyway? I haven't looked in it. Well, we're right at our hour here, so I think I'm just going to finish up the pile of rings that I currently have in front of me. And we'll call it quits however long this takes. Maybe, probably around 8-10 minutes maybe. So we'll go a little over tonight. Just that I don't necessarily... Tonight after the stream, I got to go clean up the kitchen. I got the cat food stuff. That's pretty much all I actually had planned for tonight. I was like, if I get some more of this done, great. If I don't, I'm not super bummed about it, because I did kind of have a plan to veg a little bit tonight. I don't know. I've just been up so late here lately, and I was actually up fairly early this morning. I woke up actually about 7. Sat in bed till about 8 because I could not get back to sleep. And so I finally got up out of bed. So I'm going to be a little tired, probably earlier than normal. So I figured, yeah, I'm just going to kind of veg tonight. There's some things I could do, but I need a good vegging night. Other than the rain that we had, and wouldn't have minded it going camping in the rain. I don't mind that, especially in the camper. It doesn't leak or anything. So, but well, I guess I should check it after this big rain. But I thought about just cruising up here to the local lake and camping out for a night or two, just to kind of unwind. Because I try to unwind here, but yeah, I can not do stuff to try to unwind, but you still don't get a full unwinding. I mean, just can't happen because I always have to count it. I mean, yeah, I put off if I don't clean up the kitchen tonight. Just means twice as much work the next day. So do I really want to do that? And I mean, I still do put it off sometimes till the next day, but it'd be nice just to. I was kind of like, okay, wife, how's this work? We're going to drive up here to the campgrounds in the trailer and the camper. I'm going to hook the camper and you can take the car back home and go, because I think we got it in hopes that she'd be able to do some camping, and I just don't know if it's going to work. We tried doing a couple testings here, and I think it's going to be more difficult than she realizes if we were out. So I just don't know. But anyway, I was like, you could just drop it off. You can go back home. Just leave me here for 2 days. Come back, pick me up, and I'll hook it back up and drive it home. As long as I got some food in there, and I'll take some chainmail, I can stream from the camper. And just have a couple days of, well, there's the bathroom and the shower right over there. The rest of the time, I'm just going to sit here, camp out, munch, do nothing. Though I will say, when I started the stream tonight, we started at 7:30. I guess at 7:30, the kids from the band that I help out showed up in Chicago at their hotel. So they left this morning at 9:40, I think, is when they posted that they had just pulled out. I didn't make it up there this morning. I woke up early enough, totally forgot. My brain was not in motion till, again, 10. And it wasn't until that post that was shortly before 10 that they said they were pulling out. And I was like, because I decided last night that I was going to. I had the drone batteries charged, ready to go. And it just totally blitzed my brain this morning. Totally forgot about it. Didn't dawn on me at all. Until somebody said they were just pulling out, and then it went flooding back going, how did I already had this plan last night, what I was going to do, and I planned on getting up. And maybe that's why I woke up early and couldn't get back to sleep, because deep down I knew I needed to be up for something, but I couldn't figure out what it was, type thing. I don't know, it's weird in a way, but yeah, I missed that, so that kind of sucked. But they got up there, so they've been up there for about an hour. I guess they're having dinner at the hotel, and then they'll be camping in for the night before they start all their fun tomorrow. So they had about a 10-hour trip up there. It's about right. A couple stops on the way. So hope they're going to have fun. I wish I was up there with them. Wouldn't be streaming tonight if I was, but well, I would have been driving myself, so I would have been tired after driving for 10-12 hours. So alright, well, we finished up that pile of ring. And you know what I forgot to do? Oh, I did it again, dang it. Did I? Yeah, I had to have done that. See, I forgot to mark it off. That's going to be the hardest thing, remembering, is to mark these off as I come back up, because I'm almost a line off, I believe. So I'm marking where I do truly believe I think I am, but I'm going to have to recount. I do a recount now, I guess. It'll be easy and quick because it's short right now. So, but well, that only took us 5 minutes. That was quicker than I imagined, taking all those little rings there. So anyway, I do want to thank you all again. Monday night we'll be back to Medium Project Night, which I have not touched yet since, to try to do some I know I need to try a few different things with that. But we'll be back Monday night with that. Maybe I'll get a little bit of time into it. I don't know. Otherwise, we'll also have the other camera views back, so don't forget to come back and check us out Monday. I'd like to see, I'm sitting here pointing and looking at the camera that is not on. So, we'll have all the camera views back. After this project, we're going to have that for all of them anymore. I'm not going to do a time-lapse of the next inlay, so I'm going to do kind of a Giphy, every 3 lines, doing a picture and putting them into a video style thing instead. I've done it once before with the jersey, so I'm going to try that for that. Anyway, I do want to thank you all again. If you drop by, if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this later, don't forget to give likes, shares, all that good stuff. Find us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. I think that's all. I need to get all that stuff in my head. One day I'll remember it all. So, anyway, I hope you all have a great night. Have a great weekend. We will be back for sure again on Monday. Check out, keep a little look-see out on Saturday and see if we might pop up on a Saturday at some point. Like I said, I want to at least have one. We'll see what happens. So, y'all have a great night and a good weekend. If we don't see you Saturday, we will for sure see you on Monday. Peace.